What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Raw Stocks. This is Rustic. Today we're going to be taking a look at some charts. We're going to look at Tesla first. We're going to look at where price came from, where price ends today, and where price is likely to head tomorrow and into the rest of the week. We got a short trading day tomorrow. Market's closing early. Then we got a day off on Thursday for the 4th of July. So really we got a day and a half left of trading before the week is over. Before we get started, don't forget to check out the link in the description below to the Raw Stock website where you can find more information about joining our trading community. It is free to join, and there is a premium upgrade where you get the Raw Stocks callouts. You get access to the options data that we stream live. You get access to our book study that was pre-recorded and a few other premium features for the low price of $25 a month. And right now on the website, we do have a 50% off promo code that's running through the summer. So let's go ahead and jump into the charts. We got Tesla pulled up. We got the daily chart pulled up. And so we had some targets. Those targets have all been blown through. We had the delivery numbers come out. Market liked them, right? Market pushed up aggressively. So what we want to notice on the daily chart is that we're above all three of these white lines. The white lines were potential closes, and those were based on a weekly, some weekly levels. Now we're pretty far above that. It doesn't mean we can't come back down, maybe and close, around one of those levels. Alternatively, we could push up and close somewhere around 236 if we continue to rally. Now, again, those are based on weekly closes, so that's going to be a weekly close coming in at one of those potential levels. But those white levels were from the week of January 22nd, the week of January 16th, and then the week of January 8th, open and closing prices of those 3 different weeks. Then we had a breaker candle here where we broke down. And then again, if we looked back up at that week open, it's around 236. So if we keep pushing up throughout the rest of the week, I'd expect a weekly close somewhere around there. If that happens, you can see these red lines are a weekly bearish fair value gap. If we did close up there, we would have closed this gap entirely. And then those levels would be off the table, as well as these white lines will be taken off the table if we close above those during this week. Now on the weekly chart, you can see, we push through that 100 period. We're above all the moving averages now. Even if we dip back down, we're going to be looking for this 20 period to start to push up. Now this 200 on the weekly, the 200 EMA, it becomes support, no longer acting as resistance. We saw it act as resistance back here in early 2024 as we pushed up a couple times to it, rejected. We came up in April of 2024, we rejected it. Now we've pushed through it. So we're going to expect that'll act as support if we do come back down to it. So let's jump back over to the daily chart. Again, we got this giant magnet up here in an order block. So we are expecting price to make that push up to 252, 253, all the way up to potentially 265 as price delivers into that order block. Now, is that going to happen all at once? I mean, with the way the market is acting right now, we could get a whole another day up, close those fair value gaps, potentially reject in the yellow levels, which is a breaker block, a previous breaker block. So we'll see if that wants to act as, a mitigation block where it forces price back down, or if we end up just breaking through it, those levels will be off the table if it's not resistance, and we'd be looking to push up into that order block like I was talking about. Now, if we start to curl back down, likely to head maybe, somewhere in between 218, maybe even 210.81. Not necessarily expecting that, that low this week. Kind of think we're gonna, maybe potentially, if we don't rip up some more, just chop around this area, not necessarily get an aggressive sell-off. And we will be watching this trend line that is developed here. So any move up, we're going to look for it to correct back down to touch the trend line at some point in time. So once we do start to see signs of that, you can look for short opportunities to head down to that trend line. But right now we had a nice bullish candle, created a nice fair value gap there on the daily chart. We'll jump over to the 1 hour on Tesla. On Tesla on the 1 hour, we got a nice 1 hour fair value gap right out of the gate, that 9 o'clock open candle. And then we created a small fair value gap that we traded back down to on the 1 hour chart, and we popped back up above it. Better look here of those, again, that weekly fair value gap that we're inside. Now I was looking for price to reject the consequent encroachment, which we did with a few wicks. Ultimately, we pushed up above it. So now it looks like if we do continue to rally, that we could push up, to try to close that fair value gap entirely. We'll just have to wait and see what tomorrow provides. But if we're looking at just the 1 hour chart, we could see price come down as low as 215 this week, right? Or maybe even 223 and find support in that fair value gap. And then we would expect that fair value gap to repel price higher, right? If we did come down to it. So that might look like we get that sell down tomorrow, and then into Friday, right? And then we see, another push back up. Or if we continue to push up early tomorrow, we might take out that fair value gap, and wherever we land, we might see price draw back down into that 1 hour fair value gap into next week. But definitely looking, that's a huge fair value gap on the 1 hour chart. Definitely looking for price to come back down into it. And that would be another opportunity to potentially take a long position. You can see these moving averages on the 1 hour moving up aggressively. And so basically we'll be looking for that 1 hour to the moving average to catch up to price, and price to roll over, get below the 20 period, right? Maybe run a test of the 50, and we'll see where that ends up when that does happen. Now we'll jump over to Nvidia. I know a lot of people have been interested in Nvidia. We're only going to take a look at, we'll look at the daily, we'll look at the 1 hour. Daily, you see we have down close candle. We opened down, traded up, and then but still closed below the previous day open and close. So still toying around that 20 period moving average. We can take this off the chart. You can see we're still toying around that 20 period moving average. We closed above it today. We ran a test of it down below. More or less, we're not doing anything too exciting. RSI on the daily pointed down, right, below the control line. So we certainly could see a test run of the 210 area, maybe even just sell side liquidity down here at 217. There are definitely some gaps and some fair value gaps that could be filled down here if we start to head lower. We'll look at the 1 hour chart in Nvidia as well, below all the moving averages. We did see this consolidation and then this kind of breakdown, and we're back into a minor downtrend here, but we're not too far off of it. So we'll see what happens. We saw that push up, that come back down to the fair value gap and the bounce, but we weren't able to clear above the 200 period on the 1 hour. So it's still acting as resistance until we get above that. Take a look at QQQ on the daily chart. Big bullish candle here. Definitely attempted a short on QQQ and got stopped out today. Looked good, but immediately entering the position, there was a 1 minute candle close. Next minute candle just went completely parabolic to the upside. Basically ran out my stop in 1 minute. And so didn't enter another QQQ trade there. You can see we're up here at the the liquidity at the previous highs. We had a liquidity sweep here, but now we're pushing back up. And so we'll see what price wants to do, right? That's a pretty bullish closed candle. We're well above all the moving averages on the daily chart, right? And we could be setting up some bearish divergence here to see price come back down. We look at the 1 hour chart on Q, right? We saw price come back down, pop back up, saw a bullish fair value gap. We're above the moving averages, right? And we kind of made a run for that high from Friday to test that. Now we are, we hit oversold or overbought territory, but we're still above the moving average on the RSI. We could see this roll over and just make a newer high here. And from there, we could see price push up. We could see price roll back over and start to set a new low, or start to head for the sell side liquidity. So we'll be watching that closely. I provided some other additional targets on the weekend video if you want to know, if Qs do continue to push higher over the next few weeks, where that would likely be. We'll look at the 1 hour chart on SPY. What you can see on the 1 hour chart of SPY, we're setting a series of lower highs right now. We are rejecting that high time frame RSI trend line. I think that's from the weekly. Let's double check. Or that is a resistance level that I had on there. You can see we're pushing up on the weekly, but on the 1 hour, we came and we hit those resistances on the RSI. And again, we got a higher high, lower high, lower high, right? So a series of lower highs as we come back down and set, similar lows here. And so, this is just a bigger kind of choppy consolidation pattern. But the series of lower highs could tell us that there's a possibility that we're going to now push down, even though we had that nice run up today. If this ends up holding as a high, we'll be likely to come back down and make a run on the liquidity down in the 542 range. Now, again, we're above the moving average on the 1 hour RSI, so this could come down a little bit, run a test of this 20 period, and then pop back up and take a new high. It's entirely possible, so definitely try not to get trapped. There's a large fair value gap here as well that would be in line with running a test of the 20 period on the 1 hour. Take a look at HIMS. HIMS opened up today, had a nice move up. For any of you who follow on the Discord, we're in some long-term plays on HIMS. They were doing all right with that move up, but then we kind of got a nice displacement candle down, right? We're stuck in a bearish fair value gap that is not officially closed. We did get a bullish fair value gap here. We're above the 20 and the 50 on the 1 hour chart. RSI right at the moving average, but slightly, pointing down ish or flattening out. So we'll see if this fair value gap, right? We had this fair value gap, we popped down, pop back up. Now we have another fair value gap. If we can pop up there and break above the 200 period on the 1 hour chart, which is going to come in at 2157, you can see we tested it once, we came up and faded it, right? Now if we push up, hopefully we can get above it. If we can get above it, definitely looks like we can make a run back up to this order block at 23 and a half ish. All right, but we need to get above that. If not, we're going to drop back down. We have plenty of sell side liquidity targets down below if we do start dropping. Also in some Microsoft plays on the Discord that were called out for the premium members. Microsoft was doing all right. We closed out those calls today, entered a short position. Basically, the reason why I entered the short position is I saw us push up on this high. My target was 460, came a little short of hitting the target, but good enough for me to close those positions. Now I see, I saw some nice bullish movement up where we took off that trade. And then we'll see, I think that we're just going to probably roll over, maybe run a test of some of these moving averages again. Just looking to scalp that, even though it's a long-term trade, just trying to get some profit off of, running a trade that has less risk. And you can also see on the daily time frame, we are up against that resistance of the overbought reading on the RSI. We're well above most of the moving averages here, except for the 20 period, right? And we've seen this push up. You can see also, we've just seen this monumental push up. And what we'd probably want to do is go look at, some of the extension levels using our fibs. So if we measured this move down here, top to bottom, right, and you can see there's an optimal entry, and we just pushed up that 462 is officially 4 standard deviations. So I am looking for a rejection somewhere around here. You can see around the 3 standard deviations we rejected, we pushed a little over and then rejected it again, right? Same thing when we got up to the 2 standard deviations, we rejected back to 1, right? And then we eventually pushed through it and found support on it. Right? Again, we pushed up to the 3, we rejected, we popped above, we rejected again and fell below it. Now we're above, it held the support. When it dropped back down, we pushed up to the 4. So we could push a little bit through it, right? But then I expect that we're going to draw down maybe to the 3.5 standard deviation, maybe all the way down to the 3. Potentially could get even a further drop, but you can also see on the RSI, right? We've started to approach that over bought territory again. I'm not saying that Microsoft can't push up even more, maybe all the way to 511. But I would expect, based on these fib levels, for us to see some kind of reaction right around where we're at, you know, the 459, 460, 462, something right around there, and then see us roll back down, you know, maybe to 450, 440, something like that. And then the last thing we're going to cover today is snow. And snow is one that I'm looking for us to draw back down. Okay, I was looking for it a few days ago, back on June 27th, for us to draw into this fair value gap. Now we've pushed up and we've rejected the 50 period twice. So now I'm looking for price to roll over. And now what we're looking for is to run a test of the 20 period moving average, hold that as support. I will be looking to enter some long-term trades on snow around 134, 135, give or take, depending on when we get there. If it takes a couple days, that moving average will move up. Could look at 136, 137, and then we'll be looking for it to make a move up to 160, right? Potentially 159 to 162. There is the 100 period on the daily chart that's going to potentially offer resistance. Then we got the 200 period coming down right around where that fair value gap is. So that would be my target. Those will be at least 6 months out, roughly 6 months out on that trade, if I do end up entering that trade. So hopefully this has been helpful for you guys. Don't forget to smash a like, subscribe, share with your friends, leave a comment in the video. Helps the algorithm get our video out to more viewers as we continue to grow in the Raw Stocks family. And again, if you're not a member, jump on the trading Discord. We have a really great time. It's free to join, even if you don't want to be a premium member. There's a lot of activity in the Tesla chat. There's a lot of activity just kind of across the board in the Nvidia chat. We have some futures certified funded traders who are also in the future section. So come by, check it out if you haven't. Appreciate all the support. We'll see you guys on the next one.